My name is Sheldon Sanders Stevens, and this is the presentation of my signature research project, and it is on the effects recess in elementary classes has on academic and behavioral success. And so when we look at this, we can see that there are many things that have kind of risen in, everyday educational classroom settings now that have kind of pushed back the amount of time that students have for recess time. So with the rise of standardized testing, instructional time demands, and other academic factors, there has been a decline in recess time in the elementary classes. So when you look at this whole scale, and those are some issues as well as like large populations in school, scheduling issues, and just other issues that make it difficult to have recess. And so I looked at the research on this across several different states, and in the United States, and as well as the school that I work in, to kind of see what it looks like right now with recess, and kind of see how it is affecting academic and behavioral success in students right now. And so I looked at the data already. So when we look at what the data looks like right now, this is data from Ridgeway. It was completed in 2003, and it was on student behavior on the days with recess and their behavior on the days that did not have recess. And so as we can see, when you look at these, the days that they did not have recess, their behaviors, the inappropriate behavior that they had, was much higher than it was on the days that they did have recess. And so when I was thinking about how this looked, in different places, I was really concerned about how this might look at the school that I'm in. So New Broughton Elementary School is the school that I've done my research in. And when we look at this right now, at this time, New Broughton Elementary School, students here only receive one 20-minute recess time per week. And so research is showing that, recess time needs to be a daily thing, but right now they're only receiving that one 20-minute time. And so I was able to look at the discipline reports throughout the school year that were pulled from the very beginning of the year. I also looked at data points from behavior logs that teachers have kept in their classroom. I looked at data points on student achievement by looking at students that were passing and receiving a passing score at each checkpoint in the school year, so first 9 weeks, second 9 weeks, third 9 weeks, and fourth 9 weeks. And I was able to kind of put together some data to show what is happening at the school right now, and kind of showing how maybe the lack of recess could play a part in what we're seeing here. So the first graph that we have here is on Tier 1 behavior. So Tier 1 behavior is going to be any behavior that takes place in the classroom that the teacher's able to, just handle with a redirection or reminding of the rules, those kind of behaviors here. And we've done this from kindergarten all the way to 5th grade because these are the grades that are in the school currently. And so you can kind of see how most of them are between that 200 and 400 range. So this was actually from the data for the whole year. So that's the number of times that students received a Tier 1 behavior mark or conduct checked in each one of these grades. Okay, so moving on to Tier 2 behaviors, these are going to be behaviors where either like a parent was contacted or they had a loss of some kind of privilege, a behavior that's, they've kind of already been trying to address, but the behavior is continuing. And so with this, you can see that kind of dips down in 2nd and 3rd grade, but kindergarten, 1st, 4th, and 5th grade are still kind of higher up in that area. And so these came from these behavior logs that was collected from the teachers. So each teacher keeps a weekly track of student behavior, so they're able to track what behavior looks like in the classroom. And this is where that data was pulled from. And then lastly, Tier 3 behavior. This is going to be any behavior that required a discipline report and was sent to the office. And so 2nd grade, again, is the lowest, 3rd grade being next. And then we can kind of see how 4th grade has still kind of stayed up with the other grades dropping here. And so this information came from the school administrator and was determined and analyzed based on the reports they had received. Okay, so this last one right here is on academic success. Now, this does include all all students in the school. So that means the students with IEP, 504, EL plan, or students who are on the MTSS plan are all included in this data here. So it's not excluding anyone from this data. And you can kind of see where it is with the students who are meeting the academic success rate here based on progress reports and report cards that are pulled from the counselor and showing how many students are receiving passing scores. Alrighty, so why this is all important is studies have shown that that recess has an important impact on student achievement. It increases students' behavior. It increases their academic success. It increases their social emotional learning, and just helps with their physical learning. So all together, it kind of helps with the whole child, and that's one of the biggest research supports that was used to back this research is teaching and educating the whole child. So the whole child approach is the concept of teaching the whole child, that being the physical part of the child, the academic part of the child, the social emotional part of the child. All of that is important, and when we take away recess, we're taking a major part of teaching the whole child. And so we can see here, as we looked at what we compared from other schools across the United States and the school here that I'm looking to do my research in, that this lack of recess time does have a negative effect on students. And so we know when there's a higher amount of recess time, that means it leads to higher academic achievement and also positively impacts the social and emotional well-being of the students. And so we can, from all the literature that I gathered and all that I've looked through, that daily recess time has a positive cognitive, physical, emotional, and academic benefits for students in the elementary school. And so increasing that time and doing the whole child approach to learning is a great way to ensure that all of that's taking place. So now into the research part of this, like, breaking down how this works. So this is a quantitative experimental research study, and it's going to examine the implementation of recess in New Broughton Elementary School and see if it increases student achievement and behavior. Okay, so the experimental group will come from 2 classes in each grade level that will receive 4 20-minute recess times a week, and 2 classes from each grade level that will receive no recess time each week. The control group will come from 1 class in each grade level, and they're going to continue to receive their 1 20-minute recess time a week like they've already been receiving. And throughout this time, we'll continue to check academic achievement and behavior by using the same methods that I used to do this at the beginning, through those behavior logs, those progress reports, and those discipline reports that come from the office. And we're going to take our baseline data, which we had and seen at the beginning, and we're going to compare it to our end of the research, the action plan data, to see how students grew and how their achievement and their behavior increased. So the population at New Broughton Elementary School, this is a kindergarten through 5th grade school. There's 5 kindergarten classes, 6 first grade, 6 second grade, 6 third grade, 5 fourth, and 5 fifth. So this population was selected due to the identified problem of student achievement and behavior due to a lack of recess time. So for my sampling, this participant sample will consist of each class within each grade level at New Broughton Elementary School. Within those grades, one will serve as the control group and receive the 1 20-minute recess time that's already allowed to them. The remaining classes in each grade will be the experimental group. Half of those will not receive any recess time, while the other half will receive 20 minutes of recess time 4 times a week. This sample size will allow for comparisons amongst same grade level and different grade levels to properly determine the effectiveness of research in student behavior and achievement. And so while we're doing it across all grade levels, is to see is there's other factors that are, working against achievement and behavior, or is it recess a good indicator in this? So this is an example of convenient sampling. Each class will have each grade level will have a control class. They will, and then we have the experimental classes, like previously mentioned. So the students who are going to participate in this study, they will continue to do the same schedule and all other normal activities they've already done. So nothing else is going to change in the schedule except for that allotted recess time. Either they're going to continue to get the same 20 minutes, they'll get no recess, or they'll get that 4 20-minute time per week. And so nothing else in their schedule is going to be altered. Everything else is going to be the same. So the only factor that we'll really be looking at here is that amount of recess time. So in order to protect the identity of all of the human subjects, they're going to be given identification numbers instead of their names. And all of the data that we receive from this is going to be secured. Teachers keep their their behavior logs, in their classrooms, put away, and then any kind of contact with parents, would also be confidential. And those reports that come from the counselor and from the administrator are all going to be, confidential and private as well. So no need to worry about, there being data breaches or anything like that. And also students will have to have consent from their parents to be able to participate in this. So in this, we have independent variables. That's going to be the implementation of our 4 20-minute recess days and the implementation of the no recess time for a week. The dependent variables are going to be student achievement that is measured through progress reports and their behavior that is measured through the weekly behavior logs. The controlled variables will be the age and grade level, the class size and teaching styles, classroom management, and attendance. Nothing else is going to change except for that recess time. So not really any other resources are going to be needed. Teachers are already, have those behavior logs. They already had those referral forms, and so the only thing that would have to be gotten is that data from the teachers, from the counselors, from the administration. But there's not really anything else that would need to be changed because the school already has places set up for that recess. And so this is what this is kind of going to look like, the sequence of steps over the next period of time. So once administrative approval and parent consent has been granted, then the following steps will take place. On week 1 and week 2, it'll be to collect that baseline data. That will be just the discipline referral counts, the teacher observations, and the academic success. That's all going to be tracked during that time. Teachers will continue to use the discipline progression log they currently use to track student behavior. Then on weeks 6 through 8, that's when we're actually going to do these experimental plan here. So you're going to have the group that receives the 4 20-minute recess times a week. You'll have the one that doesn't receive any, and we'll have that control group that continues to only receive the 1. And so through this time, week 6 through 8, actually this will be weeks 3 through 8, weeks 3 through 8. This is going to be the time where we're going to collect the data to see if the students who are receiving more recess time, how does their behavior and academic success, do they get better? Does it get worse? Does it stay the same? How do students who don't receive any recess time, how do they do? We're going to use the same tools that we use for our baseline data to collect this data here. And then on week 9, the last week of this, we'll just analyze the baseline data and we'll compare it to what happened throughout the experiment from weeks 3 through 8. How has student success changed? Or have they become more academically successful? Has their behavior gotten better? What's happening here and how is it showing up and helping students to be successful? Is recess helping them remain successful? And so the main instrument that we're going to use here is that behavior log and their progress reports. It's going to stay the same as they've been using them. So they've kind of already shown to be reliable because these are the same tools that the teachers have been using throughout the school for years now. One issue will be the sample size. Although this is a relatively large school, it doesn't factor in other outside things that might come up, like things that are going on at home, weather things, not being able to receive recess because of weather, and not having a place for them to receive recess. And so one thing that I think that could benefit changing up a little bit of this, maybe not doing a class that doesn't receive any recess time. There may be some kickback from parents and from the students because they don't receive that recess time. And so from there, maybe adjusting that to where they can receive somewhere between the one class receiving the 1 and the other class receiving 4, maybe get like a 2 or 3 so that you can see it throughout, because we kind of already see what it's like with them getting very minimal amount. And so maybe just adding on some more to that time, but not giving them full amount as one of the other classes. And so altogether, this plan is going to help us to see if students receiving recess, if they can increase their student achievement and their behavior. And I think also providing other things might be helpful to that as well, like STEM, things like that.